Okay. Welcome to the Paranormal NightStalker. This is Joel Walling, barely here this week. And of course, with me, as always, is Michael Smith. And the reason you heard those bells at the beginning of the show is this intro. While it was a great recording and a great interview with Matt from Paranormal Investigations Equipment, this intro is not going to be for the faint of heart or for the young in attendance tonight, because I've had crap for the past 2 days, all thanks to Windows 10. And as I said, barely being here tonight. Basically, Windows 10 decided to write an update. And anyone who has Windows 10 knows that they love their fucking updates. Well, their update this week decided that, you know what, we don't need drivers that work with stuff, so let's just make the drivers not work. So when my computer updated, it crashed. And when it crashed hard. It was the Hindenburg wrecking into the Titanic at the same time. I am a Microsoft certified computer tech, and it took me somewhere in the neighborhood of, honest to God, hours on it. 16 to 20 in the past 2 days. My stepson stayed up all night creating a rescue disk, helping me. And you know what Microsoft's answer to it all was? Have you tried restarting your computer? If the whole fucking problem was I restarted the computer. It froze up, I restarted it, nothing worked. So if I could restart my computer, we wouldn't be having a problem right now. But we did. So that's why I'm in a surly mood. I can't put it any other way. Is that not a good way of describing it?
Yeah, the fact that Microsoft once again almost killed our podcast network all by itself. Because my computer, I had the same update you did, and my computer was acting squirrely all morning. Mine crashed this morning and took 15 minutes to come back up. It was sitting there spinning. I didn't think it was going to come back on.
And I did not get through this unscathed. All of my personal files, my photography, my music, all of the stuff for the podcast network, the banners, the logos, the pictures, it's all gone. Off into the ether thanks to Microsoft, because the people who built their company on building software forgot how to write software, and that's why they got an email this afternoon entitled, "Dear Dumb Fucks."
I can't believe you said that.
Well, honest to God. Okay, so I've been doing this all morning. I did it all morning. I did it all night. I was up till almost 2 o'clock last night. I could not stop because I knew the importance. I mean, we had a recording with Aaron tonight for Paranormal Crossings Into the Unknown. I knew we had our stuff tonight. We had, it was important. I had to get my computer running again. So I was up until 2 o'clock and then back up at like 8 o'clock, 8:30, starting on this computer again. Just right back at it. All of this going on. I went through. No restore would work. I could not roll back the update. I could not do any of the basic restarts that would not touch any of my personal files. So I already had come to the acceptance. Every bit of data that was on my laptop is gone. But I would do the nuclear option, and that would at least give me a working laptop again. So I did. I did the nuclear option. The factory reset. Well, it wouldn't work with a factory reset. That's why my stepson built or made the rescue disk. That took him somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 hours because it kept crashing too. Well,
that's why the poor kid was That's why the poor kid was asleep half the day because he was up all night.
Yeah. So we got it. He brought it down. I put it in. I start doing it again. Like I said, I've come to the acceptance that all of my personal files, all of my music that I bought and collected, all of my pictures. Now I did luckily put all my family pictures, the important ones, onto an external drive, but I do photography as well. I love doing landscapes and animals and things like that. And I had probably close to 1,500 to 2,000 pictures on my laptop. They're mine. I don't know. I'm weird about it. They're mine. So I don't really put them out everywhere or anywhere. And I don't really share them. So I just put them away on my laptop and kept them. I didn't bother putting them on the external drive because, like I said, they're mine. Well, they're gone. My 5,000 song music collection, gone. Now, granted, I've got most of the CDs still because I made digital copies, but the stuff that I downloaded is gone. All of my apps. One app that I can't get back now that I actually use for this stuff, gone. So I'd come to accept that. Like I said, I was silver lining, I was, happy thoughts, all of that.
Oh, hell, I just thought of something.
What?
We don't have a damn file converter.
Nope. My file converter's gone. I'll
Son
find
of a
it.
bitch. I need that. I've got. Damn it, now I'm mad. I just thought about that. Because for those of y'all who don't know, I do research. That's my thing. I think about weird shit. I build stuff. I can build you. If you want an EMF detector, I can build you one. If you want a tone generator, I can build you one. What I am not is a computer person. That's not my thing. I know it's strange to say that, but it's not. I barely get by. That's what I have Joe for. Joe is a person I get on there with and say, how do I do this? But I need to convert files from my digital recorder that only does WAV files, but I have to convert them to put them through Audacity, and I can't do that now because the program that we use is now gone.
Well, actually, I've even got better news for you than that.
Bastards. What?
Giving Up the Ghost and the South Carolina Paranormal Research and Investigation podcast also are always sent to me in WAV file.
Oh, shit.
So
how are we going to convert them?
I'll find one. It's me. I'll find a converter. It just pisses me off because I really liked that converter. It was really super small, super easy to use. It converted any file into a crystal clear, beautiful MP3. And I mean, it was just, like I said, super small, easy to use. No problem. You just drug it over, dropped it, boom, your file's done. It was just that.
That was a Moo converter, wasn't it?
Yep, Moo converter. And it was a free program. For whatever reason, they had all of their upload links through downloads.com, and sometime last month, downloads.com decided to remove 45 upload links from them. And that really sucks because now they're attempting to get it back up. Like I said, I love that recorder, or not recorder, but that converter. It was just a beautiful, beautiful program.
They had a decent recorder. We used a recorder before too, and their recorder was decent too.
Yeah, it was actually. It was really good. They do good stuff, and it's all really super easy to use, really small. Just there. There's no bells and whistles to it. It is the basic what you need. You want a recorder? It's a recorder. You want a converter? It's a converter. Literally it will drag. You can drag over any file extension. That's MP4, WAV, AVI, all of it. WMP. And it converts it to an MP3. And like I said, the MP3 is crystal clear. Beautiful sound. No loss in power whatsoever. It had like a 5-star rating from CNET. And they decided to take the damn thing down. I don't know why, but they did, which pisses me off. And thanks to Microsoft, I no longer have it.
Damn them.
And I'm hoping I can get that back. That's on my list of stuff to get back Sunday. I'm spent. I'm dead. And I don't even want to look at this computer right now. Because the
Well, I
reason
don't blame you.
reason I ended up typing out that email, and to whoever's reading that, I would apologize, but I'm not sorry. Fuck you. You know, eh, because I really laid into him. I mean, I hit him with every curse word, every bad name I could possibly think of. I told him to eat shit. I said, keep up the good work with your updates and update yourself out of fucking business, you pathetic dumbasses. You have raised the bar of stupidity to a whole new level. I hit with everything I had, and the thing that pisses me off the most about that email is the fact that about 2 hours after I sent it, I thought of the ultimate way to end it, and I forgot to put it in. Thank you, fuck you, bye. And I forgot it.
The Jim Cornette special.
Exactly. The old Louisville Slugger himself used that one, and that one would have been perfect for Microsoft. And it was one of those, I know everyone out there has probably had one of those arguments where you have stood there like an hour and a half later and been like, oh, damn, that was the perfect, oh, damn it, I wish I had thought about it. You almost want to start the fight again just so you can use that comeback that you just came up with. It's like that good. I'm standing outside smoking and my computer's finally working, which, by the way, Microsoft still tells me it shouldn't be working. I have them confused.
When they tell you that?
In one of their responses, they actually said, we don't know what to tell you. We're sorry, we don't know what to tell you. If none of those things work, we're not sure where to go next. Because
I've got to go lay down.
Their first thing was, try restarting your computer. And I told them, restarting my computer is what got me into this mess. Try doing a restore. You don't think I bothered to do a restore? I mean, it's a restore. That's all it is to it. Restore. That's the first step. If you cannot get your computer to boot, you hold in that F11 key, and you go to the restore screen, and you tell it to restore. You go back to the restore point. That's common freaking sense. Restore points have existed since the beginning of Windows. So I did that. I hit the restore. None of my restore points worked. And I'm like, son of a bitch. So then I went back to doing, I tried to roll back the update. I tried to uninstall the updates. I tried everything that I could do. None of it worked. And I told them, did you read my original post? All of that stuff is listed and none of it worked. So, what now? Borrow a computer and create a restore disk. I did that too. The very first thing says I have exhausted all other options. I have even created a restore disk, and that failed at 80%. So I'm like, what in the hell am I supposed to do? Try it again. I did try it again before I freaking messaged you. You think I'm a moron?
You had to do that like 3 or 4 times. Then you finally took.
Yeah, it's like that's what's killing me. It's like, do you think I'm stupid? Of course I tried it again. It's like, Jesus Christ. What the hell do you think I've been doing for the past 16 hours? But it kills me. It's like, restart your computer. It won't boot into fucking Windows. How can I restart it? Try it again. Try it again. Motherfucker, we are not in grade school. If at first you don't succeed, you do not try again. When you buy something from somebody that is supposed to work, you expect it to fucking work. If it doesn't work, you expect the people you bought it from to fucking fix it. Especially when nobody wanted this fucking update anyway. Nobody wanted Windows 10. They just made a program that was so freaking horrible in Windows 8 that they literally had to give the step up away. They literally had to give it away because they knew no one was going to buy this damn thing. They knew it. This was a train wreck. And they knew that no one would buy it, so they had to literally give it away.
Well, the thing that bothers me about this whole thing, and I've said it before, you got to buy a computer. Unless you buy something with a different op system on it, like a Linux or something. If you go buy a Dell or an HP or an Acer or whatever, Windows 10, you have no choice. You own the computer. The software is pre-installed.
Yep.
The software sucks. Every
And
time I
there
get
ain't
an
a damn
update,
thing you can do about it.
you can do it. Every time I get an update on this computer, something doesn't work right. Every time. Because how many times have I got you on my phone and said, well, I got an update, but now this doesn't work. What can I do?
Yep.
And you have to walk me through how to fix it.
Hell, wasn't it
And
what is it, last week or the week before it deactivated your mouse and keyboard?
I had to roll the drivers back because the drivers weren't working. The drivers were wrong. Again. I couldn't use the mouse and I couldn't use the keyboard.
Yeah.
I mean, to me it's a damn injustice because you have no choice but to use the product, and not to mention the fact that every other program out there is designed mostly for Windows. So if you don't use Windows, you can't use things like Skype.
Well, see, that's the major problem right there. We can't. I can't like go to Linux because that would be the logical choice. I can't go to iOS, and I wouldn't use Mac anyway. But I can't go to iOS, so my only other option is Linux. And everything you're hearing right now is impossible on Linux because nothing is supported by Linux.
We could use the Spreaker recorder to record the. Couldn't use.
I could use Audacity to edit them, but that's it. Because Audacity is open source.
Yeah, but if you can't record them, you got nothing to edit.
Yeah, and Google Chrome doesn't work on Linux either.
Yeah.
So it's like I couldn't even I couldn't even open up anything to download anything. So it's like I said, they got you by the balls, and they know it, and that's why they're doing whatever the hell they want. They made a horrible freaking operating system with 8 and 8.1. They knew they did. That's why they gave everyone this one away. And the problem is, I don't think they actually did this to say, hey, we screwed up, we're sorry, here you go, this one's going to be better. I honestly think they made this one, and they made it as bad as they possibly fucking could, so they could say, now, you going to keep bitching about Windows 8? You want a bad operating system? Hold my beer. That kind of thing. I think they're honestly making this as bad as they can make it, just so everyone goes, wow, Windows 8 was great. That was an incredible system. I wish I still had Windows 8. Because
wish I had Windows 7.
Shit, I wish I had XP again.
Yeah, I'd even take that.
Well, that was the thing. They did 3 killer operating systems in a row. They did ME, XP, and Vista. Vista was bad it was rotten horrible at first. But they did this incredible thing. They put out updates that didn't fuck up your computer. And after the update came out, Vista got better. And then they put out another update, and it didn't fuck up your computer either. And it got even better. So by the time they were actually done with updates, no computers crashed because of the updates, and their operating system was good. But then they just decided, let's fuck all that up. And let's start making shit operating systems.
If I could go back and get if I could go back and get a Windows Vista disk, an install disk for Windows Vista, I'd put it on here.
Oh, you know what? I don't think you can. I think now don't hold me to this, but I think I've read somewhere that Microsoft no longer allows downgrading. So if you have Windows 10, you got Windows 10. I think the only way to do it would be to wipe your hard drive and start over from the beginning. And I mean literally wipe your hard drive.
Well,
like you're putting in a brand new drive. Because if I'm not mistaken, if when you put in the install disk, if a version of Windows is detected and it is higher, say you put in 7 and it detects 10, the install won't work.
Well, I'd wipe it first. I'd have to.
Yeah, we're not talking back to factory. We're talking back to the box. Like it's
Yeah,
never been
well,
turned on before. Down to system BIOS only.
it'd almost be worth it. I
Yeah,
swear,
actually it would. Probably.
every time they have an update, something doesn't work. And that's no. I mean, I'm not lying about that.
No, everybody we talked to. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, didn't we talk about to Matt about this?
Yeah, and also to the people from DNA Paranormal from the
DNA
UK.
Paranormal. And actually, I don't know if we recorded the one with Brian Holloway or not. I think I edited that out. Because I think that was before actually. That was when we were just sitting around talking.
Yeah, the same thing though. We all
Yeah,
live
he
in
said the
fear.
same thing. We all, anyone that actually works on a computer, that uses their computer for some form of work, video editing, software editing, podcast editing, podcasting, any of it, anything you do that runs through a computer, which if anyone is counting, just about 99% of the world runs through a computer now. If you do it on a Windows 10 computer, you live in constant fear of the fact that Windows 10 is going to screw your computer up. It's going to happen.
You go to sleep one night with the computer and wake up with a damn doorstop.
Because I remember we were talking. I remember me and Brian talking about that on the simple fact that me and him have the same habit. If it's updating, we do not stop. We don't go to sleep until it's completed its update. We don't until it has completed its update and restarted. We need to see our computer working again before we will go to sleep. And see, that's what's screwed up because this all started Monday. Because Sunday night I was going to bed, I got an update. Woke up Monday morning. We were having our Monday morning meeting, talking about what we had, the recordings we had coming up, what else we had to do with the network, if we were going to, do we need, if anyone's been, what the numbers were over the weekend, our normal morning, to anyone listening, that's our normal morning meetings. Me and Michael have one every morning. How are the numbers? What do we got to do this week? What do we got today? Well, I'm talking to Michael, and all of a sudden, I'm talking to myself. And I'm like, oh, crap, my computer crashed. Okay. So I do the restart. Had to do the hard shutdown. Hold down the power button, let go, computer restarted. It didn't load Windows. So I brought up the restore screen. Went to the restore point, which was the day before. Luckily, I did a point on the 12th. About 8, I think it was like 9, 10 o'clock at night. I did the restore point. Computer came back up. Everything worked great. It was just fine. So we go the rest of the week, computer worked fine. It was a little glitchy, but it was still working good. So I did a recording with Sherry. Actually, we had a marathon recording session with Sherry. She had 3 shows all recorded Thursday. And it was the last one ran a little long. It was a little after 4, and I was like, I got to go start dinner, and da-da-da-da-da. So I closed my computer. I didn't shut it down. I just closed the lid. I pop open my lid, go into my computer. Nothing works. Hard reset. Go into it. Doesn't load Windows. Well, shit. F11. Go to restore. Hit the restore point. Doesn't work. Go to a second restore point. Doesn't work. Go to the system restore point. Doesn't work. Go to the uninstall updates. Doesn't work. Rollback updates. Doesn't work. I went through everything. None of it worked. It was all corrupt. And it kept on giving me the same error code. And the error code I'm getting is an invalid driver. Error code 0x800720. It always says, your restore failed because error code. And that. Invalid driver. Invalid driver. Invalid driver. Over and over again, invalid driver. And that's exactly what I told Microsoft. And they told me, restart your computer.
I'm not a computer guy, like I said, but even I know that if the drivers are not valid, it's not going to restart.
Well, see, most of the time, and I will give them a little bit of credit on this, to whoever I was talking to, because I'm sure this person is an independent advisor, is what her title is. So I did not give her any of the wrath because she had no balls in this game. She was just trying to help me. But it's as simple as this. Most of the time dealing with that error code, that is when you have booted into Windows, it is trying to load something, and it tells you it's an invalid driver. You plugged in a mouse, you've plugged in an external drive, something like that. It tells you, hey, invalid driver for this. You've got to update your drivers. So normally that's what she was dealing with on the assumption. But I will quote the wise and wonderful Michael Smith. Assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups. Because had she actually read what my post said, she would have seen my computer updated will not restart. Stop. I have tried system restore, system reset, system everything, starting in safe mode, booting in safe mode, doing this, all come up error code, parentheses, 0x, I go through the whole fucking error code. So, I have tried all available and pre-installed options, including using a second computer to make rescue disk. Rescue disk failed. Same error code at 80%. So it says she never read she never read the post. Because she tells me, boot into safe mode. Or she says, restart your computer. Can't restart it. Restarting is the whole problem. Boot into safe mode. Tried that. Have you tried a system restore? Read the post. Now I actually come to think of it, I'm getting pissed off at her. Half of our fucking comments back and forth were shit I already answered. She saw the damn error code, looked the fucking error code up online, and started sprouting out shit to do. She didn't look at that motherfucking post. If she read the fucking post, she would have already had her fucking questions answered. Although probably most likely, she did read the post. And she went, oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah. She did that. And the thing that gets me, too, is not only does their shit break from the updates that they wrote,
they don't know how to fix it. That's fucking scary. The very people that broke your shit don't know how to fix your shit.
And you can't go to nobody else.
No, I guess, it goes back to the old saying, you can't fix stupid, not even with duct tape.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't fix it with duct tape and WD-40, you're in a world of shit.
But, like I said, just talking about that, now I'm pissed off at her. Because it's like, motherfucker, I didn't realize I put all that shit in the post. God. And this bitch just sitting there telling me to do shit that I already did.
Oh, I know. And the worst part about today was, I mean, I'm like 5,000 miles away, and your computer's Tango uniform, and I'm thinking, all right, well, I can record these people, because we got, 12 podcasts now?
14.
14, yeah. We got 14. Sorry, I keep losing track because they keep multiplying, but...
Yep, they're like gremlins. As soon as they get wet, there's more popping out.
We got 14 podcasts. I can record them, but I don't know how to edit. I don't have the editing software. And if I had the software, I wouldn't have had to do it.
Yeah, I was about to say, you actually do have the software. You just don't know how to do it.
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, it's Audacity. That's what he used to do it.
Yep. Yeah, but I mean, I can clip. What part of I'm a researcher don't these people understand?
Yeah.
I don't know how to
Well,
do
there's
that shit.
and there's other things. You don't have the graphics. You don't have
No,
the music, the intro and the outro music. I
no,
mean,
I
granted,
can't
neither
do.
do I. I just can get it back.
I can't do the banners, none of that stuff everybody
Yeah.
likes so much. I can't not do that.
Yeah, I can't do any of that. You couldn't do any of that shit. And right at the moment, I couldn't do any of that shit. Oh yeah, I was fuming. That's why, like I said, that's why the letter came. That's why the letter had to be written, because if I didn't write the letter, I was going to smash the computer, and everything inside of me was going smash it, smash it, smash it. And then the little voice was going, dumbass. Why are you going to destroy what you are busting your ass, and even have a 16-year-old busting his ass to help you fix? Why would you destroy this? I was like, okay, well, I guess I won't do that. But like I said, somebody had to get motherfuckered. That was all there was to it. Somebody had to get motherfuckered. Somebody had to get it. And to
Yeah,
like I said at the beginning, I would apologize to whoever read that email, except I'm not sorry. Fuck you. That's
they
all there is
deserve
to
it.
it. They deserve it. Exactly. They
I mean,
deserve it. Even if you had nothing to do with programming
when
Windows 10, if you work at Microsoft, fuck you. You deserve it. Whatever you
yeah,
get.
the sad thing is, you're a damn Microsoft engineer.
I know. I actually, and that's when it really, you can actually hear it break their brains, because I have actually talked to technical support with Microsoft. I have actually called them. This has been years ago. I don't even know if they still do it or not, but I've actually spoke to people on the phone, and they're like, well, have you tried this? Yes. Have you done this? Yes. Have you done that? Yes. Have you done this? Yes. Wait. Before you ask me what else I've done, I'm a Microsoft certified computer tech. Oh. And that's all I get for like 5 minutes. And it's like, because you can actually hear their brain go and break,
Well,
because it's
yeah,
like, oh
because
crap,
they're reading from the script.
they're reading from a script. And I'll actually tell you, and this is another tech support story, but this is not having to do with Microsoft. It actually has to do with Time Warner Cable. It was when me and Star were making the original NightStalker and all this. I had to call and get stuff going with it, because she was having a problem with her internet. And I told the guy, he was going through his list, and I said, I told him, I was like, hey, I just wanted to cut you, because he started into his list. Have you done this? Have you done this? It's like, just wanted to cut you off there, not to be an ass or nothing, but I'm a Microsoft certified computer tech. I've done this, and this. And he goes, well, shit. And I said, okay, that is not the response I was expecting. It's like, no, you just told me 4 or 5 things that weren't on my list, and everything it is on it. So I don't know what to do. He's like, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I ain't a computer guy. I'm just reading a script. He's like, I got a little paper here that tells me, I type in what the problem is, and it brings me up common solutions. Like, you just hit everything on my list and a few things that aren't on it. So if you've done them, I don't know what to tell you. I got to send a tech out. And that's what, it was like a quick call, but he did. He just like, well, shit. I never will forget that. And Star's like, what'd he say?
You know,
What'd he
I
say?
wonder.
It's like, well, shit. Really? Yeah.
I wonder. I wonder who Microsoft calls to fix their shit.
Oh, well,
If they don't know how to fix it,
honest to God, I
who do
wish
they
they would call me, because you know what the first thing I do to them is, have you turned it off and back on again?
turn it off and back on again? Yeah, but really, but seriously, if they tell you they don't know how to, but they wrote it, it's there somewhere in some room is some guy or some girl or whatever, or a woman or whatever, that writes code. Now, even though the code, or maybe not, maybe they're perfect, and whoever comes after them is the one that fucks it up. But
I'm 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 thinking along the lines they probably got Timmy from South Park in there. He's just like going Timmy and hitting the keyboard with his head. That's, I
whatever.
think, their
But
version of code right now.
at some point, if they tell you we can't fix it, I wonder who they called to fix their own stuff.
God only knows.
Do they call the Geek Squad or something? Maybe they call the Geek Squad to come out.
That would be hilarious. Or you find out Microsoft is ran on Apple. It's all Macintosh.
Oh, you know what? You ought to do a meme and get a picture of the Microsoft complex in California and show a squad bug sitting out front on a service call. But that would be fun. But really, I mean, it makes you wonder who fixes their shit.
Yeah,
if they don't have to fix
it out
who fixes.
And I would say, long story short with this, because I think I've ranted all I can rant for right now. I would say long story short with this, but it's been a long story, and it's a long story long, because I do have quite a comical solution to it all. Because like I said, my stepson, my 16-year-old stepson, did make me the rescue disc. He stayed up all freaking night doing that, and he is the very reason you are hearing my voice tonight. And my dog whining. Just shut up, dog.
But don't be yelling at Gizmo.
I have an amazing computer in front of me because I have a Dell Esperon that thinks it's an Acer. Honest to God, I have Acer software installed on my Dell, and the name of the hard drive is Acer.
That would void that. Well, that would void the warranty, but there's no warranty on it. And for people that don't know the story about this computer, I'm going to tell them, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
I bought the computers he's using now for me. I live in South Carolina, and I bought it from a major TV retailer. I'm not going to say who. Because I bought it from the company. I just bought it through these people. And it was a pretty computer. I mean, it had 8 gigs of RAM and, I don't know, terabyte hard drive.
Yeah, it's a dual-core 1.8 gigahertz processor, 8 gigabytes RAM, 1 gigabyte or 1 terabyte hard drive. It's a nice computer. It moves good.
I mean, it was expensive. It wasn't cheap, but I wanted something to do all my research stuff on, that I could buy one and use it for a few years. I knew that it would still be powerful enough and have all the room for my stuff that I download and all that kind of stuff on it. And I get it. And it crashes every day.
At least once a day.
Once a day.
At least once a day. Crashed. Most of the time it was 2 or 3 times a damn day.
Yeah, but at least once a day it would Hindenburg. So I called Microsoft. So they can do diagnostics. You know, they take over your computer or whatever remotely and do diagnostics. So they did their diagnostics. And now, mind you, it's under warranty when all this is going on. They run their diagnostics. There's nothing wrong with it. Well, can you look at the error reports, the crash reports? Yeah, well, look. Well, do you see all the crashes? Yeah. Well, what's making it crash? We don't know. But it's crashing, and it's still new. Something has to be wrong in there for it to be doing that. Because I'm not doing anything to make it crash. I don't have 15 windows open, and I'm not playing video games while I'm trying to run a bunch of other stuff. I'm talking on Skype. Talking on Skype, by the way, which is a Windows program, should not cause my computer to crash, but my CPU usage was like 98%.
Yeah, all the time was like 98%.
All the time. CPU's off the damn chart. And I'm deleting everything I can delete to lower it, to get stuff, programs in the background. I'm deleting all that stuff you and I went through. I took a bunch of stuff out that was in the background still. Usage is off the chart. So there's got to be something wrong with this thing. I call them back. They run the diagnosis again. Can't find nothing. So we see the error reports again. It's crashing every day, 2 or 3 times a day. Do you see that? Yeah, we see that. Well, can you do something with it? Can you replace something or do something? There's something wrong with it. nope, our diagnostic show there's nothing wrong with it and we can't take it back. They wouldn't even take it back. They wouldn't take it in the shop to let somebody look at it directly. They just did their remote stuff. So I said, well, only thing I know how to do is get rid of the damn thing. So I packed it all up with the cord and the manuals and all that good happy horse shit. And I sent it to Canada. Because I figured you could make it run if I couldn't. You know more about them than I do, so fine.
Yeah.
So then I went to Walmart after I hadn't had that computer but about 2 months.
Oh yeah, it was brand new.
It was brand new. And so I went to Walmart and bought an HP. The one I sent you was a Dell, for those that don't
No,
know.
don't insult it. It's an Acer now.
It is now. It had a reassignment surgery.
I wasn't gonna, I wasn't gonna go there, but yeah, yeah, it is transitioned now into an Acer.
And so I went to Walmart and I bought an HP for half the cost of what the damn Dell cost me. Because Dell wouldn't fix it. You know, Dell's takes it, no, nothing wrong with it. We won't take it back. So I called Microsoft once. I said, can you look at it? No, we can't look at it. No, they did once. I'm sorry, they did once. They did a remote scan. They said they couldn't find nothing. It looked all good on their end. So Dell says it's all right. Microsoft says it's all right, but it's crashing every day. So all right. So off to Canada it goes. And you tinkered with it and got it to work again.
Oh yeah, because it actually wasn't that hard. Why they didn't? Because this started up pretty much as soon as you got it. It started the crashing thing as soon as you got it. And
Yeah.
had they thought about it for 2 seconds, they should have been able to fix it. I did one thing on it and instantly found out what was wrong and fixed it. There was a bad cluster in the Windows install.
It's a cluster.
As soon as I reinstalled Windows, the crashing problem was done. That is
one
just
thing about one thing about Windows, you can say for sure it's a cluster, all right.
That's exactly it. It is a clusterfuck, a calamity of clusterfuckery. So, anything else we want to run into the ground at the moment?
No, I would say that the interview that you're going to hear is paranormal.
It is Matt from Paranormal Investigations Equipment. I'm sorry, Matt, I forgot your last name already, because you were then and you will for always now be the pie guy to us. That's what we have called him for over a year now that we've known about him. And that's exactly what we keep calling. Even during the interview, I said he's the pie guy. So, remember, while this is going, we're going to be live in the chat room. If anyone out there is listening that we have not chased off any of our fans, you can always come into the chat room, ask us questions. We're going to be live in there. And we will maybe talk again for a minute after the show, after the interview. Until then, I hope you enjoy, and like I said, hope we didn't chase everyone away. And we are now joined by Matt from Paranormal Investigation Equipment, as we call him, the pie guy. We were just going on about that. He does actually has a great site, which I got to say, a lot of the stuff is far cheaper than you find a lot of other places as far as the price goes. I mean, you look at some of the stuff on Amazon and you got the people that bought the $10 EMF detector, slapped a ghost sticker on it, and are charging $150 for the ghost detector, which
yeah, even stuff like that. I mean, so yeah.
Yeah, I've always got a kick out of that. I one time because I was actually looking up equipment. It's after I moved to Canada because, needless to say, airports look at you very strangely if you're carrying a lot of that kind of stuff through security.
Well, I always, whenever I ship my stuff internationally, I always put in the customs that you got to fill out. I always put it's paranormal equipment. So I'm sure that they're like, some of those countries don't even know what paranormal equipment is. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that would probably confuse a lot of people. I just think of going through security and then they see like all these different meters and it's
Exactly.
either you have lost your mind or you're bringing a bomb on a plane. So I was like, well, I guess
Well,
I'll
that's
leave
what's
the
good about the
equipment.
3D printed stuff. See, it's not detectable, and people are like, well, and it won't mess it up.
Oh yeah, no, that is true with your equipment. So go into a little bit about what it is exactly you design. I mean, I know a lot. Or your designs are yours. You're actually an engineer in this stuff that you work with it and develop new technology and everything.
Um, well, the three models of the main thing that I do is the Rodaway diode, and the three models that I have are of my own design. Um, I use a 3D printer and I print my housings, and then I design the interior, the electronics, and everything to fit into that. Um, the Rodaway diode isn't. I mean, I didn't come up with it. It was invented like in the '60s by a guy named Constantine Rodaway, and it he used it himself. It didn't get widely used in the paranormal thing. He used it and got good EVPs and spirit communication with it, but it didn't branch out for some reason, and it just kind of basically about 5 years after he came out and he wrote books about it and everything, it kind of just went to the wayside, and no one's used it. As I'm sure both of you know, everybody uses the exact same equipment and they've used it for years, the same thing over and over and over and over and over with no results.
Yeah.
So I kind of, with this, I brought it back. Along with this, right now I'm in the midst of working on some other things, and they will be my own design. They won't be someone else's that I brought back to life. And I've done that before with a camera. I invented a camera and I 3D printed it and had the camera lenses and everything custom made for me. And for some reason it wasn't accepted. I mean, I got actually.
Is that the full spectrum standard definition in the same one that you built?
Yeah, the split screen.
Yeah.
And I called it the SV Cam, and I got a ton of emails at that time that it came out. The SLS camera was real big, so
Yeah.
everybody questioned me and said, "Well, does it do the same thing the SLS camera does? Does it do, And I kept telling them, "No, it's totally different. It's and I explained it and everything, and then I got an email from a company that said, "Hey, we do the same thing. You're going to have to stop making it and all this," and it got into a big thing. Theirs is totally different. What they use is a 2-lens dash cam, and then they just make a 3D printed they don't even take the guts out of the dash cam. They just make like a 3D printed skirt around the dash cam, and it's got a 2-inch little monitor and everything. But they said it was their idea first. So, and I just said, instead of arguing with them, I just said, okay, fine, I'll just stop making it. So, and
that
I
was
made
a
a
shame,
couple other
actually.
audio things too, but
That was a shame, actually, because I do remember actually. I've been kind of following you for a while and looking at the stuff that you have on Facebook and that kind of stuff, and I was actually really impressed and really excited about that camera because so much of the time when we're using something like I know going back into like Ghost Adventures, they love the FLIR cameras and that kind of stuff, but you have to like match it up with another camera. So you either got this huge mount where you're carrying around 2 cameras and you're trying to do everything and work it at one time. And this gives you the opportunity of being able to take a picture and show them in standard definition. There is absolutely nothing in front of me.
Right.
Yet here is something in full definition or full spectrum, you know?
Yeah, that was another problem I had. Everybody was like, well, it must not be good because it's not on Ghost Adventures. I got those emails too.
Yeah, but you got to pay. You got to pay to be on there, though.
Yeah, I contacted Ghost Adventures and said, hey, I've got this like great invention, this camera that I made. I went through the whole spiel with them, and they said, sure, we'll be glad to put it on there. It's $5,000 per episode for us to use your equipment.
Jesus Christ.
And so I just said, forget it. I mean, I would have to sell like 1 million of them, to make my $5,000 back. So, I'm not going to go that route.
I've always been a little bit vocal about the camera they use on there. The one that shows the outlines,
the
like
SLS camera.
The SLS
Connect Cam.
Connect, yeah.
I personally think, now I'm not an engineer by any means, but I personally think that's crap. I don't think it works.
Well, I've used one, and it'll take a chair and scan it, and then in your picture, it'll make it look like a person. It'll put legs.
We tested it too.
That's exactly it. We actually been using one, and actually I was talking to the other 2 members of our team, and I actually finally sit down because we've been using one, and they take time to set up, and I looked at it and I was like, listen, until either I get the time or someone I know writes a program for this camera, we're not using it anymore.
Right.
Because it's too long to set up, it's too difficult to use, and the fact, like you were saying, I tested it in my living room one time, and it looked like I was being haunted by a ghost of a fairy and the ghost of King Kong, because it took my recliner with a coat on it and made it one giant skeleton. This thing had to have been on its knees, and it looked like it would have been somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 or 10 feet tall. And then I look over, and it's got a lamp map, too. So
right.
the lamp's like 2.5 feet tall versus King Kong there at 9 or 10 feet tall, and it's like, okay, I was like, I actually was talking to him. I was like, the only way that this would have any relevance whatsoever is if you are using it on investigation and you tell the people, okay, now if you guys take all of your furniture, move everything out of the house to where it's nothing but the floor, the ceiling, and 4 walls, we can use this camera. Because, then if you see if a skeleton comes out on that and there's nothing in front, then I could say, okay, well, yeah, there could be something there. But other than that, it's too many false positives.
My feeling on that, yeah, it won't. And my opinion of it is, it only will map hard things. So, like if a mist came, or if anything came, or if there's nothing there, it's not gonna map it.
Now, I did have a friend of mine that, well, actually, it still goes back to he was another investigator. His name's Pete Wren. He actually, it goes back to that. His would map a refrigerator. Every time the compressor would kick on, it mapped the refrigerator.
Well, yeah, and it does this. I feel the same about FLIR cameras too. I know, I don't know, you guys might use one, but it detects. You can if you have a reflection off of let's say a locker or a shiny wall or something like, it's going to detect the outline of a person.
Yep, even like a polished linoleum floor.
Right.
Or hardwood floor.
Yeah.
I'm very basic with my equipment. I have, like I told you before we came on, I'm a computer tech. So
right.
Working with different different programs and different technology, it was just something that I naturally went into. And now that I've been doing this for over a decade, which is not all that long compared to some, like Michael's been doing it for over 20 years. Pete Wren's been doing it close to 30. I've found it seems like the more technology gets involved, the more we mess up what we're doing. I'm a real basic guy. I take a digital still camera, two video cameras, and a voice recorder. That's my standard, and a K2 meter to just to get a baseline for an EMF field. So
Right.
if somebody tells me they're seeing shadows and I've turned the K2 meter on and it's pegged, I'm gonna go, well, yeah, okay, this is why you're seeing shadows.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been on investigations where, and I do the same thing. I take a K2 just before the investigation to get a baseline, basically, to see where there's wires, where there's electrical, where there's Wi-Fi. And it was in one person's bedroom, and they said, well, I get really bad headaches in here, and I hear noise, I hear things. So I took my K2 in there, and against where their head lays on the bed, right against the wall there, it spiked. So I went to the outside of the house, and right there was the electrical box, the house. So, and
Oh yeah, I laugh because I did the exact same thing as them.
yeah. So I mean,
it messed me up good. I was having hallucinations. People were breaking into my house, headaches. I even had nosebleeds.
huh.
And it's like as soon as I moved my bed to the other side of the room, not one problem.
Stopped, huh? Yeah.
Everything stopped. I mean, the night. Because and it was funny because I didn't realize it was there when I put it. It wasn't until I was outside. I think I was mowing the lawn or something, and I looked and I'm like, that's right at my head. And I'm like, no, and then I went in, like right after that, I went in and moved everything around that night, slept like a baby, never had another bit of problem.
Yeah. Well,
And
I mainly now all I do is I know a lot of people probably don't like this part of investigating, but I investigate either by myself or with a friend that I used to be in a group with. So I know that we're both kind of skeptical. I mean, we go in open-minded, but we go in and try to disprove stuff before automatically just saying, oh, well, it's something paranormal,
yeah.
So, and I do mainly audio now. I mean, I don't mess with, setting up, 10 IR cameras everywhere. And when I go to a group, I've investigated with groups and they've like asked me to come investigate with them. I do all the audio stuff and I let them do all the cameras and the meters and everything like that. So I'm more into the audio now, and I do, like you said, basic things. And I think that the technology part of it, as it advances, it's, in my opinion, it's not so much that it hurts us. It does hurt us because people use it in the wrong way. They'll use like a K2 meter for communication, and it's not meant for that. They don't do research on their equipment before they use it, and so I think technology can help the investigations, but it needs to be used in the right way and built. You can use technology, but it really needs to be built for that, for paranormal investigating, instead of using, I hate to keep going back to this, but like a K2, it's made for electricians to find electrical. Yeah. It's made for paranormal investigating.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And that's a lot of that. A lot of the problem comes with especially what I'm seeing now. Back when I first got into it, and of course, like when Michael got into it and everything, there were none of the TV shows. I mean, we were kind of right in the beginning of it. Ghost Hunters was on the air and had been on, I think, a couple of years or something like that, but it was still all of the paranormal craze was in its infancy, or television craze. So you had people like us that were getting involved in it, and the way we were getting involved in it was through reading and research. And if this is caused, well, why don't we use this? And if this uses that, well, what does this mean? And we're, You know, you might start off reading about one thing and you've gone on, you've read 8 different things about 12 different subjects and you're off on this
Right.
tangent just to have to, because you had to, that was the only way you had to learn. Now
Right.
I see with the
And
people coming in, it's like, oh, well, I'm a big fan of Ghost Adventures. I love Ghost Hunters when it was on, and like anything else. Well, no, I used to watch it all the time, and you know,
right.
that's where they're getting their education from. Now,
Right.
you know, you have the guy on there. An EVP stands for electronic voice phenomena. Okay, you know, it doesn't go into any more details. Or they see
Well,
Zach using the Kinect cam, so everybody ran out and bought a Kinect cam. You know,
Right.
granted, Microsoft does make the software for it, but they've got to, like, and this is what I've kept telling our guys, you know, you got to realize that software is written to recognize the human form so it can be used as a video game controller.
Yeah. All it is an Xbox.
Yeah. It's a game controller. That's
Right.
all it is.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm sure you could use, you know, Sony for their PlayStation. They've got a camera that does basically the same thing.
Yeah.
You could probably use that. I mean, you know, but it's going to do the same thing. It's going to map stuff that isn't there, and because that's what it's made to do. I mean, you know, it's made to map certain things. It's not made to map something that's not there.
Exactly.
Basically.
Well,
Well, I mean,
basically, the program tells
you know,
Go on, Michael.
I was gonna say, you know, we've done this and Joe and I've had this conversation, the two of us, for years. How, like you said before, they've been doing the same stuff the same way forever, and we really can't even give anybody a concise definition of what it is that we're measuring.
Right.
You know, okay, what's an EVP? Well, it stands for this. Okay, but how does it work? Well, we don't know. I mean, I got a theory. You got a theory. The guy on the street's got a theory, but there's no set theory or definition that's been proven of how it actually works. What's the mechanism of action of an EVP? Nobody can tell you that.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Right.
everybody has ideas about how it works, but
And that kind of goes back into the Rodaway dial. It's like, well, we know that the things that you've been using for years haven't been working other than on the TV shows. And you know, people, I don't believe, I'm not a big believer in ghost box. I don't use them.
we don't.
But you know, people are big on the ghost box thing, and they're like, well, this is an EVP, this is an EVP. They're calling stuff EVPs that aren't EVPs. And my opinion on EVPs is I can't stand, you know, how they label them. Either it's A, B, C, you know, they give them different things. Well, it's either an EVP or it's not an EVP. It's not, to me, an EVP has to answer my direct question. If I ask a question, I've been on, for instance, I've been on an investigation, and someone will ask, well, how did you die? And they're using a ghost box, and the word apple comes across. So they're like, oh, he must have choked on an apple. That's how he died. You know, I mean, it's like, well, I need to ask a question, and if it doesn't answer it, or if it answers something else, or it's not an EVP. You know, I mean, I've got hundreds of recordings of EVPs that I do where I ask a question, I get a sentence answer, and that to me is an EVP. You know, if it's something completely off, the ghost box to me is all it's doing is bringing in radio waves. That's all it's doing.
Yeah.
So you never know if it's a song or a DJ, or you just don't, you don't know with those. It's too wide, too open for me.
Oh yeah. I always go back to one of them I saw on YouTube, and I feel so. I don't use the guy's name because at the same time I feel like I'm making fun of him, and I mean he's accepted it too. But he's sitting there and he's doing his spirit box session, and he's like, "Is there anyone here that would like to speak to me?" And you hear, "Hello," And he absolutely just freaks out. His jaw hits the floor. His eyes pop out of his skull. And he's like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? It said hello. Did you hear that? And it's like, and then someone's like, in the comments is like, that was Adele, the song
Right.
Hello. And it's like,
Yeah.
I felt so horrible.
I mean,
he did come out and say, you're right. That was Adele. But in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy as much as, and you look at on eBay and people are selling ghost box for $600-700, and it's like,
oh yeah,
seriously?
Yo,
It's a $20,
expensive.
radio kit that they got off eBay or whatever, and they just put it in a homemade box or a cigar box, and they're selling it for $800. Or
Yeah.
there's a guy that says that he invented a portal, and so he's selling the portal, and then, all it is it's a speaker with a guitar pedal on it, and he's selling it for like $800-900. It's like, really? Come on, it's
wrong line of work.
I mean, I'm like, so I don't know. I mean, I have an SB7, and I get the best responses from that, but it's one that I originally, if it's just one that comes out of the box, I didn't get anything with it. So I retuned mine, and I redid everything to mine, so it doesn't it doesn't get any radio. It's just strictly.
Basically, you detuned it. You took it to where it cannot it can't get any station.
Right. It doesn't get any. It still scans, but it doesn't pick up any channels. It doesn't pick up any radio waves. It doesn't, and I get the best responses with that. And I've gone, and it's not just one area. I've gone all over, basically Arizona with that, and I get the same results. So it's not one area. I know it's not just picking up something from one area or something like that.
Yeah. You see, that with a spirit box, that would lend credibility to it, to me.
Right.
Because if you don't have a way, like, we'll get into this later if you'd like, but we do actually use a spirit box app.
Okay.
And as you know, a telephone, it is impossible for it to tune radio stations unless you're using internet radio. It can't.
Right.
There are no AM/FM tuners available on telephones. So basically, it just sweeps frequencies, and that's all it does. It's just a constant sweep.
Okay.
I don't want to go on. I'm not. We're still on the fence about it. We have gotten some amazing stuff. Like
problem with apps, just because I have a problem with any app, not that one particular, but just anybody using a phone. Like when I go on investigations with, let's say, a group invites me to go into an investigation. A lot of people don't like to do this, but I recommend, I am just adamant about them leaving their cell phone in the car.
Well, yeah, a phone can actually interfere with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I was on an investigation in a cemetery, and supposedly the middle of the cemetery was a vortex. Okay, this guy had his millimeter out there, and he was getting, nothing. It was actually zero. And he was walking around the rocks where the vortex was supposed to be, and all of a sudden it spiked up. And he said, wow, something must be coming through the vortex or leaving the vortex, something must be happening. And he goes, oh, never mind. I just got a text on my phone in my pocket. So his phone getting a text made his millimeter spike.
Yep.
So, I
had the same thing happen with mine and a K2 meter. We were actually doing a live stream, and people were asking about, oh, well, do you have anything else? Do you have anything else? So I'm like, okay, I had some of my stuff out, and they're like, well, you got a K2 meter, why don't you? And I'm like, okay, whatever. I turned it on and set it there, and it actually fools you for a second because of the way it would. And it turned out it was my wife messaging me. Because when I picked my phone up and I set back when I was about 3 or 4 feet from the meter, then it completely stops. I set my phone back on the table, My wife messages, bink, there goes shooting. And it's like, okay, I actually held it up. That is why we don't use them on investigations for communication.
Yep.
This was not a communication from the spirit world. It was a communication from my wife. She was
I know.
texting me.
I know. And people still, it's amazing how many people still use K2 meters for community. You'll see all the videos. You'll see people, trying to communicate. And then if the K2 spikes, then they're like, oh, well, someone's trying to talk to me. And it's like, or someone will say, well, if you died in 1847, make this show go up to a red dot or whatever, and so it's crazy how many people, use that. One of my other things that I've kind of brought back from the 1800s that people used in paranormal investigations is the auto-write planchette. And it's amazing. Not one person knows what an auto-write planchette is. It's kind of just gotten lost and nobody knows what it is. So, and I wouldn't be surprised, and it wouldn't, I don't want to, offend you guys or anybody I know, but you guys probably don't know either. I mean, it's just something that I didn't even know until I started.
Isn't a planchette with a pin in it?
Sort of, yeah. But the one that the auto-write does have a pin in it. The ones that I 3D print has a pencil in the front. You can take the front leg off and put a pencil in it, or you can put the leg back on and use it as a regular planchette for like Ouija boards.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like Ouija boards either. It's a game.
Isn't the rod of diode? I want to ask you, and I could be wrong, and if I'm stupid, I'm just stupid. But the rod of diode, isn't that a cat's whisker?
The germanium diode?
Yeah, it's a cat's whisker, like out of a crystal radio set. Is that the same? That's the same basic thing, isn't it?
Same thing, but germanium is a crystal. Is a type of crystal. So yeah, that's what it's like a little piece of crystal encased in glass is what a germanium diode is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same one that they used in crystal radios and crystal TVs, stuff like that.
I actually rigged up one once to try an investigation using because most of the time the crystal radio sets had to have a huge antenna.
Correct.
They had like 50 or 100 feet between two trees and grounded and all that stuff. But I actually rigged one up in the middle of a room with the antenna tied to a helium balloon. So that the balloon, of course, floated up.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Took the wire up with it. We had a very short antenna. You only had probably whatever the height of the ceiling was, probably 12 feet. So you had like 11 and a half feet of wire up, to see if we got anything that we could tune in.
Yeah.
With the antenna being short enough that I was fairly certain I wasn't going to get radio traffic on a 9.5 foot antenna because of the distance of the radio station, plus the fact that I didn't have 100 feet of cable out,
Right.
And it was just something I wanted to test to see if it would work,
Well, I've got a copper antenna on the diode, the Rodaway diodes. It's just a copper disc, but my thinking is whether it's easier for communication with an antenna, obviously, because they can manipulate through the copper. But even without an antenna, I believe they could still manipulate the germanium diode, the diode. That has never been proved, so that's just my thought,
Yeah, well, I couldn't disagree with that. I think I'm with you. Like I said, Joe will tell you, I'm nuts. I come up with some crazy ass stuff.
Well, hey, it doesn't ever hurt anything. That's the thing. People are stuck on REM pods and all this stuff for years, and if they would just kind of think out of the box, and obviously that stuff hasn't been working for years, so why not try something different? Why not just make something that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not an engineer like you by any means. You know, I mean, but I make circuits,
Okay.
and I test, and I use them just for my testing for different things. I'll make them and do my, testing to see if it'll work. You know, and I don't make things to sell. I just make them to do my bench test. And the way I figure it, like you said, the stuff we've been trying ain't got us very far.
Yeah, exactly.
So why the hell not think outside the box and try something different?
Yeah.
Or go old school. I mean, a lot of times when I go out, I'll take a digital recorder and a compass.
Yeah, I use like an old school compass. You know, it's not digital. It's just like when you go hiking, it's like a regular.
Yeah, compass,
like,
yeah. The one I had when I was a Boy Scout.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've never had anything affected, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop using it. I mean, I just might not be wherever I'm at, just might not be something affecting it. I mean,
actually, funny enough, you bring that up. I actually, for the first time, and I've used them frequently, about a week ago, the first time I actually had one spot, and I still can't figure out why. I haven't been able to get back there yet. But my compass completely reversed. Due north became due south.
Huh.
And that was the first time it ever happened. And the times I've used a compass on it, the first time I was actually just walking because I was wanting to test and see if there was a ley line outside. And I hit one spot in a hallway, and I looked down, and all of a sudden, it's telling me I'm facing south.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. People don't do, like you said earlier, people don't do the research that, or history. They don't say, okay, I investigate a lot of abandoned, either building structures or sometimes it's just land, or caves or something like that. And, that's one of the things I do is I want to find out, okay, was there ley lines across here that might affect something that I have, or, I try to do as much research on the place that I'm going to before I go to. So, and that just, people don't do that anymore. It doesn't seem.
No, it doesn't. That is a lost art.
You can, a lot of people, I like to call a lot of people, I mean, there are some good, scientific people that go out and investigate stuff, but I like to call the people that watch the TV shows and things like this, and they go out on the weekends and they ghost hunt just to tell their friends, hey, I'm a ghost hunter, just to be cool. I like to call them weekend warriors because yeah,
pretty much.
They
armchair investigators.
They do it cool, I mean, they don't do it. So, and a lot of the TV shows, I started when I was 15 and I'm 48 now. So, like you said earlier, there wasn't TV shows. You had to figure out why something happened or didn't happen. I mean, on your own, you had to figure that out. There wasn't all these meters. There wasn't all this thing, all this different influences coming in. It was just, you go out and you figure stuff, you figure out what's happening and you figure out why it's happening. And, you got to do all that on your own. So,
yeah.
I mean, my very first ever case was really weird. And I don't know how much time you got, and I don't want to go into a lot of it because it would take too long to explain. But
I'll talk about paranormal investigating all night. So
I ended up 2 houses, 1 woman, and the case involved Santeria, if you're familiar with it.
Uh-huh.
And the woman almost died because her sister had went to a Santero and placed a curse on her, and this woman was actually starving to death. They thought she had cancer. She lost so much weight so fast they thought she was dying of cancer. All the scans were negative. She would eat enough in a day defeat a football team almost, no exaggeration. And she wouldn't gain weight. And I went, she was a close friend of mine, her and her husband both. She said, "Can you help us? The church won't come." We went to the church. The priest just said to pray and do this. They didn't offer anything substantial. And of course, she was, worried about herself and what was going on. They were having paranormal activity in the house, in both houses. And she said, "Can you please help me?" And I said, "Well, I don't know a lot about this, but I'll work on it." So I went to the library. I didn't have a computer at the time, and didn't have one for years after that. It took a while to get one, because when they first come out, they weren't cheap.
Right.
and I didn't know how to use one of the damn things anyway.
Yep.
So I went to the library and started studying religion and the occult and magnetic fields and everything, anything, because I didn't know what was important and what wasn't. I didn't know what was significant and what wasn't significant. So I was studying everything. We finally got it sorted out. I finally told her, I said, "Look, I became an ordained minister, a non-denominational minister." I said, "Look, I'm going to bless your house," because the church the people wouldn't even come out. When she told them what was going on, they didn't even want to talk to her. I said, "I'll come bless your houses. Meanwhile, you need to go take care of yourself." So she went to the Dominican Republic and paid a Santero to lift the curse on her. However they do it. I don't know how they do it. I didn't get into all of it.
Yeah, I don't know how they lift a curse either. I don't know. I didn't even know you could do that.
I know she had to do some kind of a ritual bath, and there was some kind of herbs and different things, but I didn't get into a lot of it. And it actually worked. Now, I don't know if it was a power of suggestion. I don't know if it was actually a curse there. I don't know that. I can't speak to that. But she didn't die. She gained her weight back, and she's alive. But I had black shadow masses coming through windows at me. It was freaky. I had some freaky shit going on. And there wasn't any team to pick up and call because there weren't that many teams around. And so I'm hitting the library, And, you got people now running around using equipment. They don't have an idea in hell, some of them, how a damn EMF meter works.
Yeah.
Or what it's supposed to measure. Or, I've seen people, I'll be doing a baseline sweep. "Are you looking for ghosts?" I said, "Well, yeah, but this won't detect one."
Yep.
Get on TV, people are walking around and waving a meter around. I wish it was that damn simple.
Well, yeah, and another thing with the TV shows, I've got story upon story about TV shows, but a lot of people don't know they're at a location for 2 weeks before they edit it down to that 1 hour show. So stuff that they catch, what they call EVPs or whatever, it could happen over 2 weeks, not just that 1 hour. They're not filming live, so
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people don't understand that.
The guy I was talking to, Pete, he actually was on one of the every year on like the Travel Channel and all that, they do all the different, and they asked him and the team he was with at the time, I don't know if it was when he was in England or what, but and he said they filmed for like 8 to 10 hours. They filmed all like from sundown to sunup every night for like 5 days.
Did he
about 15 minutes of video?
And I know a Pete, but I don't know if it's the same one. Is he from Canada? He lives in Canada?
He's in Canada now, yeah. He's the president of the Vancouver Paranormal Society.
Oh, okay. Because the Pete that I know, he was on, he didn't really invent it. What he did was he bought them in China and sold them, but they were the glasses that had like video cameras on them, full spectrum cameras on them.
Okay, yeah, I know those. I've seen some of those.
And they were on like he had them on one episode of Ghost Hunters, and I'm sure they charged like some ungodly amount too. That's why he only did one episode. But the day after that episode aired, his website was just so over inundated with orders that it went down. So I mean, and he didn't invent it. He bought them from China, just like the SB7. They took that link down, but when it first came out, I had the link. There was a place in China you could buy them for $10. It looked the exact same thing. All they did is they brought them over here and they sold them for $80, $70, whatever they were. Same with millimeters. They bought them in China. I had that link too. I could have bought them. I could have bought 10 of them or whatever for a lot less than what they were selling them over here.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of that happens too. And I know now, like even the REM pods, I don't know, even know if people still use those, but
yeah, occasionally.
You can buy like kits now for those, and you use a housing or a plumbing, a PVC tube or whatever you want to use for your housing, and you can make a REM pod now. So I mean, a lot of the a lot of the equipment out there is pretty much like you can make, you can buy the parts and make yourself now.
Yeah, I know. It's getting a little bit easier to get a hold of that kind of stuff. And a lot of the, like I said, a lot of the technology that was like even 3 or 4 years ago that was like almost like closely guarded secrets is coming out easily now. I mean, I remember we were talking about the spirit boxes earlier, the original Shack Hack. I remember, whereas I did actually try to do one of those, but my I don't even know what I did wrong, but anyway, when I turned it on, it melted. So I did something wrong when I put it back together.
Yeah, I did like 6 of those just because I was like, and I tried each one a little bit differently just to see if it would do anything different, and it didn't. I mean, no matter what you did, it just, the only thing it did was, and you could buy them. I bought one. It was a certain model of Walkman you could buy, and I used just a plastic, like a clamp, only it was plastic, and I clamped. You push 2 buttons down at the same time, and it'll scan all of the radio stations by itself.
Yeah, I've seen those. The only thing it usually did was mute them out, but the Walkman didn't mute them.
Right, and you couldn't control the speed, of the scan.
Yeah,
it just was one speed.
Well, that's one of the bigger problems I see with the spirit boxes is people put the speeds too low, and they're
right.
Like, I mean, I've been on this soapbox more than a dozen times. Everyone's like, "Well, it's moving too quick to get a full word," and I'm like, "Do you think a radio station only comes in on one station?" No. There's like the 95.5 will come in at like starting at 95 and ending at 96. You know, unless there's another station in there, that station's going to overlay on those channels. So you're telling me it can't go through 10 to get one full word, especially when it's a short word, like you were saying, like something like apple. 2 syllables, 3 syllables words that these people are getting. And then I mean, I've seen that enough on TV that they'll be, like you said, it's like, oh, it said apple. Well, this person must have choked death on an apple. Where the hell did you get that from?
Yeah, exactly. And they were using I don't even remember. I don't even know what they call them anymore. It's those deals. I don't even know if they still make them, but they're the ones that have like a 2,000 word. It's programmed with 2,000 words.
Oh yeah.
Ovulus. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, they were using an Ovilus. And it's like, well, that word was programmed in there, and it just probably happened to pop out. I mean, you can only put, it's programmed with words. It's not like you're getting something it's not programmed,
Well, being a computer tech, I got questions about a lot of the, because a lot of people are writing programs, besides the cell phone apps. And I got a question about a device called the Alice box. It basically works like a spirit box, mixed with an ovilus. So I'm sitting there and I'm reading the instructions on this thing. It gives you a 30-day free trial, and I'm like, okay, 30-day free trial. I'll know whether this is, if this is crap or actually something to consider within 30 days. So why not? I downloaded it, and we were actually going to do a series of videos for it for 30 days. And I start reading the instructions on how to use it. And it comes with a dictionary already pre-installed on it. And the first thing it tells you to do is erase the installed dictionary and add terms and words that are significant to the area you're investigating.
Okay. That makes no sense. You wouldn't want to put words in there that you investigate.
Everybody that I say that to says the same thing. Well, that makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want words in there that you're investigating. You want something to come out. That's why I always ask, what color shirt am I wearing? What's my name? Do you remember my name from the last time I was here? Or, things like that. Not what color is that wall over there? Because if they're stuck in that place, then they're going to be there day after day staring at that wall. They're going to know. And if you put red in that box thing, then, and you just happen to ask that question and it pops out red, well, then there you go. I mean,
it was a random word generator. That was all that was to it. That was a program meant to generate random words.
So does it generate the word? I mean, how does it work? I mean, how does it know that you're asking it a question before it?
I honestly think it sneaks into your microphone when you install it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't take it apart fully to see, but I think it sneaks into your microphone. Right? Yeah. Well, no, it's this one actually is a computer program. If I'm not mistaken, $179.
Yeah, I like to have a heart attack when I saw the price of it.
Because actually, they don't even tell you the price. You've got to download the 30-day trial and then message them for pricing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I had to actually search someone and found someone that actually had. I don't know. I found a message board that somebody was asking about it, and somebody was like, "I bought it. It's this much." They won't give you the price. If you actually, even if you message them and say, "I'm just curious about the price," they basically say, "We'll tell you if you want to buy it."
I have got a couple things that I would like to try an investigation, but it's hard because I do a lot of abandoned places and they don't have electricity. And what I want to try, I would like to try some sort of AI because no one has ever tried it, and I don't know if it works or if it doesn't. It might not work. Who knows? But I would like to try it. I would like to take, like, let's say, it's not. Well, it sort of is, but I mean, I would like to take like an Amazon Dot and Alexa and plug it in and ask it question, like maybe communicate through it and see if that works. Because I know that it doesn't. I have two of them at my house, and I can only ask it. There's some things that I ask it, and it won't. Like I can't ask it. It can't see, so I can't ask it what color shirt am I wearing or what's my name. It doesn't know all that. So the questions that I would have to ask would have to be related to that. Something visual. Amazon wouldn't know.
Yeah, something visual. Like one of my favorite questions I ask is, how many fingers am I holding up?
Right.
Simple as that. I'm sitting there, I do that frequently. I'll make sure I'm on camera. I'll hold up, whatever number of fingers I happen to be feeling like at the time and say, how many fingers am I holding up?
Right. Right. And I've got recordings of me asking, I can't see you. Can you see me? And they'll say, yes, I'm standing in the hallway, or yes, I'm over here. Something like that. Or I'll ask them, what equipment do I have? They don't know the exact name of the equipment that I have on the table, but they'll say, okay, you got looks like a recorder, and you've got something else that has a red light on it, and you've got, it's general type stuff, but they still name.
There's a descriptive, at least.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll say, well, does this equipment scare you? And they'll say, yeah, it scares me. Probably because they don't know what it is. They don't know if it's going to explode. They don't, they don't have any idea. That's why, just like if you traveled back in time to 1800s and you had a recorder or a cell phone, they would have no idea what it was. They wouldn't know,
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't know if it was a bomb or what it was. I mean, they wouldn't know. So, I mean,
and you also got to figure that it probably scares the crap out of them. I mean, if you think about just think about the way we look in an investigation period. We go into this place and we've got all this stuff,
yeah,
you got like cameras and you got recorders and you got all this stuff that blinks, especially if you're in some place that the spirit there or whatever was in a time before electricity, and here you got all this, we've got to look like a damn monster.
Yeah. And if you go in with these lights and full spectrum, how do you know full spectrum doesn't hurt their eyes or burn their skin? Or how do you, we don't know any of this. We don't know if the lights that we go in hurts them. If it, if you go in with like one of the theories that I heard anyway, I don't know if this is true, but if you go in with a, what's the light? It's like a blue light, ultraviolet light.
Okay.
It actually drives them away because it hurts them. I mean, it's like, I hate to use this analogy because I know there's no such thing as vampires, but how sunlight hurts vampires, so they stay away from it. I mean, they stay away from that light. So how do we know? That's why no one's caught anything with these lights, because that drives them away. I mean, we don't know. We have no idea.
Yeah, it's entirely possible.
I mean, so yeah, like you said, people are going in there with all these bright lights and these full spectrum light things and these huge, floodlights. And it's like, well, how do you know, what you're doing is helping? If they, how do you know it's not hurting the situation more than it is helping? So I do most of mine, like I said, I do audio, and it's done mostly just in the dark. If I do an EVP session, I don't like telling people this because they think I'm a kook when I tell them this, but I actually do EVP sessions by myself in my living room. And
you're not by yourself. I've done that.
Yeah. I mean, so, and I've gotten some of the best things. I've got it all recorded, so I've gotten some of the best responses. I'll say, because I do it every single night. So I'll say, if you remember me, what's my name? Or, and so I get a lot of these responses, and it might just be because this land it's not that my house is haunted. It's just that maybe this land was a cattle train in 1800s or something, and they're just passing it. Who knows? I mean, I don't have any idea. So, I mean, I do a lot of that. And I've got a lot of criticism because I don't have those big bright lights, and I don't do it in the dark with full spectrum lights. And, it's something that I don't like to do. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, everybody seems to want to go out and do this, go investigate after dark. Okay, I can understand that, but you don't have to.
No, I've actually gotten my best results in the daytime.
I've got the best results I ever get in the daytime.
Yeah, so have I. Exactly. I think it's because of the TV shows, and they only investigate at night on the TV shows. And
I mean,
people see that and they're like, oh, well, we're going to have to do it in the night. I see where they're coming from when people say, yeah, I do it at night because there's less traffic, lights to give false positive, there's less noise, there's less this, whatever. I mean, I get where they're coming from, but I've actually done abandoned places where it's out in the middle of nowhere or caves. Recently, not too long ago, probably about a month ago, I did a cave out here in Arizona, and it was during the day, and I got some great audio. It's called Apache Death Cave, and it's where the Apache Indians would bury their dead. So, I had to have all kinds of, I had to go with an actual, like tribes, like, I don't know if
Elder.
they presidents or elders, whatever they call them, but I had to, have one of them out there. And there's certain things that you can and can't do because it offends them. Like
Yeah.
you can't, if you find an eagle feather on the ground, you can't pick it up because that's like sacred to them. I mean, you can't, so
Yeah.
that's just there's a lot of things that you can and can't do. But hey, and I've gone to out here. I don't know if it's the same in Canada, but out here, before they widen a road or they extend a road or anything, they have to do a excavation to make sure that, because there were so many Indian tribes out here in Arizona, that they have to make sure that it wasn't a burial area or there's no pottery, there's nothing, there before they go extending the roads or digging a house up or whatever, so.
I think they're supposed to here, but I would highly doubt they do, honestly. That's the native. My wife actually is native, and she, I've seen it firsthand. The government really doesn't care.
No,
and I can't put it any other way about Canada, but the government really doesn't care.
Yeah,
it's like if you wanted to keep it, you shouldn't have put it in the ground there. I
right.
can't help it. That was a village 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
That's,
I know.
That's kind of the way it goes.
They don't. I mean, even though there was a lot of tribes here, they don't really. They get treated a lot differently. They do have certain areas where they can live, and they get government stuff. The government pays for it all and everything. Their housing and everything, but they're not. They don't keep up on the houses, so the houses are falling apart, and I mean, they don't probably do what they're supposed to do. So
no, they actually did a special here, and they were talking about one of the reserves. It's one of them. It's a remote area up here in Canada. I think it's on the East Coast, and the guy was talking about they were talking about needing a new water pump for the village. It's like we don't have drinkable running water. We have running water, but it's not drinkable. It's got too much in it now. The pump's bad. It's been bad. Like, oh, well, when did you put in your request for a new pump? 2005. And this was from last year.
Yeah.
It was like, you asked them for a new pump in 2005? Yeah. And I was just like, I don't care.
Yeah, they don't. I don't think they do their maintenance or anything here, other than they just give it to them and say, "Here, you got to maintain it now." That's it. So have at it.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, it's just it's crazy, but yeah, I do a lot of the investigations. Even on the Indian territory, you have to have an elder with you at all times, even if it's not a case. It's just if it's on their land, they won't let you go on there unless you have an elder with them.
Well, yeah, a lot of the times, and it's the elders will actually a lot of the times the elders are the ones that remember, I guess you would say, where the stuff is, because a lot of the times it gets forgotten, and it's not it's not even an intentional thing.
And they know what it is. I mean, you could find a fossilized rock or something. They say, "Oh, well, that's a rock. That's a piece of pottery from whenever." I mean, they'll know exactly what stuff is.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually something something similar to that happened to a little place called Morristown near us. I think it was somebody I think they were fishing because the creek that runs through there. Or river rather has, of course, has fish in it. I think there's some type of freshwater salmon in it, or Ulican's one. But anyway, they were fishing and they noticed. They took it back to one of the elders. They ended up finding out that was the original village site, and some of the stuff they're digging up has dated back almost 12,000 years.
Huh.
And they had no clue. The village is spread out from there, but there's a museum and not thrift store, but gift shop up at the top of this hill. And other than that, they just knew that there was something at one time up there where they didn't realize that the village actually reached all the way down to the riverbed.
Huh.
And so there's been a big archaeological excavation from there for like the past, I think, 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Because it was like, well, imagine our surprise. And since they've done that, they were showing all the different, the museum now is full of tools and pottery and all of this stuff, the stuff that they were bringing up from this riverbed. That even the tribe that lived there had no idea. The people had no clue that this was sitting there, because apparently, if what they're discovering now is accurate, they had been there. Some of the stuff dates back, like I said, close to 12,000 years, and then about, I think they said 7,000 to 8,000 years ago, apparently there was a really horrible flood, and they all ran, or went to the top of the hills and the mountains around there. So after they moved everything up there, they never went back. So that's like I said, it got forgotten in time.
Yeah. There's a lot of those places, and people just don't, people just don't know about them. They kind of get, like you said, forgotten.
Yeah.
So
and then you do have then if there's any kind of legend or folklore, you do have, like you were saying, the armchair investigators that decide we're going to be cool and grab a K2 meter and go out there and we're going to investigate it one night at 2:00 in the morning, or something, stuff like that.
Yeah, just so they can tell, their friends or schoolmate, whatever. Hey, I went ghost hunting this weekend, and I'm a ghost hunter now.
Yeah.
And so, it's not, I don't. There's a lot of those, but and especially here, there's a lot of them, and in the groups and stuff, you get a lot of them that are maybe not to that extent, but they watch the TV shows and they follow those to the T when they investigate. I mean,
Yep.
Like, if it's not done on TV, then we're not going to do it. If they do it on TV, then we're going to do it, and that's just how it is. I mean, it's like everything you see on TV, it's like a copy. It's just different people done in the groups.
Oh yeah, that is for sure. And and I love the ones that come out and like a friend of ours named June Lundgren, she was talking about it one time. She was called in. She actually specializes in negative removals. That's her whole thing, is dealing with negative entities. So she came in and she was called in by another team, and this one person comes up to her and it's like, well, I'm the team demonologist. I'm like, oh, you're a demonologist? Yeah. Well, what did you go to some type of class or what? No, I read a book on demonology.
Yeah.
Well, how long have you been doing this? 6 months.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you read a book and you've been doing this for 6 months.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys put these on, whatever. I don't know. But what gets me is the people that they take a class and they get a piece of paper hanging on their wall that says official ghost hunter.
Ghost hunter, yeah.
Because they took a class on ghost hunting or whatever, and so now it's like, well, or a lot of the TV, like I know Zach Bagans or whatever, they call him professional ghost hunter. It's like, well, what makes him a professional? Why is he considered? He's got a TV show, but what did he do? Did you ever even hear of Zach Bagans before TV? I mean, it's not like he was in some great ghost hunting, an investigation group or anything. I mean, he did nothing for, it's all just entertainment. I mean, that's all it is.
Oh, guys.
I've taped, I don't watch their shows, but I've taped their shows just to prove to myself that they make up different things in the show, and I've taped the show, and he was in this certain episode. He was walking down this hallway. It was an abandoned hospital, and he was walking down the hallway, and at the end of the hallway, a door on the left like opened up, wide open, and then shut. And I don't know if you've ever watched the shows, but he gets all crazy and everything.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, "Oh yeah, did you see that? Did you see that?" And
He's the
they went
ultimate
running
drama
down
queen.
there to the door, and I right before they got to the door, I froze it because it was recording, so I could freeze it, and then I did it frame by frame. And if you look real close, you see right behind the door, there's a black box on the wall with a hinge going to the door. So what I'm guessing happened is someone off camera had like a remote, and they opened the door, and then they closed it. They hit the remote and closed the door. I mean, it's just I don't know. After I saw it, I was like, this is just total ridiculous. I mean,
that's why I had to quit watching those type of shows. My blood pressure got too high.
Yeah, I mean, entertainment is fine. People want to watch it for entertainment. That's great. They watch all these other shows, reality shows and stuff. But I mean, when people start following it and doing exactly what he does, and then they start charging $5,000 an episode to get my equipment on there,
Well, see, that's my thought is if you're going to do something like that, and they're entertaining. I mean, let's face it, we watch horror movies, we watch, all that. It's entertainment. But say it is. Don't say this is all real. Everything you're seeing is 100% real. And then do that kind of crap. And every ghost show, every one of them that has been on the air at some point has been caught faking evidence. I mean, ghost hunters got caught, they got caught this past Halloween. I know that. Because they actually had a guy, he was like, I think it was supposed to be Zach. Like I said, I don't watch it. I haven't seen it. But it was like, it's supposed to be Zach and Billy alone in the haunted museum. And they hear someone's voice, and it's like, oh my God, did you hear that? And the camera pans over to Zach, and you see a guy in a black crew t-shirt going around the corner.
Yeah. Well, the best show that I think, because I talk to Rob Demarest a lot, chat to him back and forth and stuff, and text to him back and forth. And the best show is the one that he did in Australia.
I saw that show. It was pretty good.
That was, to me, the most real life. It wasn't live tape. It was taped, but it was more realistic than these reality shows.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, he did what, and they all did it. Basically, what you do when you go on an investigation. It's boring. Most people don't know that because you sit in a place all night waiting for something to happen. It's not like it's nothing like ghost hunters where they're constantly doing something. It's not like that.
Yeah.
That's another thing people don't know. It's actually, when I'm doing an EVP session, I sit in a dark room for 45 minutes to an hour, and I sit there. That's an hour of my investigating right there. I mean, so, but they, and they did that. They would sit in an attic and just have the cameras rolling or their audio equipment, whatever. They would sit there, and yes, they would break away from them, but then they'd come back and they'd do things like that. But I mean, that's TV. That's just it. It has to be. You can't just. If there was a TV show about just following a real investigation around, it would be the worst thing. It wouldn't make it past probably 2 or 3 episodes.
No, and if you want to really kill the whole trend, I say we make a TV show about doing evidence review.
Oh, don't say that. We've been doing that for the last 2 days.
I had an idea the other day. I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to do, because no one in their right mind would give you money and buy 6 episodes or whatever. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to film my investigations, and I'm going to do basically like a YouTube reality TV thing about my investigations. I bet I get 0 subscribers or 1 or 2 subscribers just because it's going to be so boring. It's going to be.
Well, YouTube is really bad about that. They're really used to the dramatization and the faking of.
Well, yeah, but it's going to be a film of me sitting in a dark room for an hour. No one's going to sit there and watch that on their TV.
No.
No. I mean, it's not going to happen. And because a lot of my EVPs, I don't hear until you do review.
Yeah.
So if I sit for an hour in a dark room and I don't hear anything, I don't automatically assume, hey, I didn't catch anything. I've got.
Yeah, you're not going to know until you've gone over it.
I might have an entire SD card full of EVPs. You never know. And I usually go to the same place. Like I said, I do my house, every day, but there's also an abandoned cemetery by my house that I like to go. And if I invented a new piece of equipment or something like that, I can go there and try it because I've gotten results on past experiences, I guess. A lot of teams take people there to train them actually on, and say, this is what it's going to be like when you go out on investigation, because it's so active. I mean, it is a super active location. So, and it's about 15 minutes from my house. So I'll go down there and just use, a piece of equipment or like you said, you have that thing, you got a 30-day free trial. Well, you could try it there and then you would know if you caught anything, because it's so active. If you didn't catch anything, it probably doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got.
It's good to have a place like that. Yeah.
I mean, so, and I like to go to different places. That way, if like the camera, I made one and I sent to another team in Texas, and I said, you guys use it and tell me what you guys get, instead of just me. I don't want to just be the only one to use this thing, to test it out. Same with my diode. When I first started with them out, I sent them to teams. I sent probably 10 or 15 of those to separate teams and said, here, try them out.
You got to test it out, and you got to have more. It's that's another thing with the paranormal. A lot of the times people don't share this kind of stuff, and you're like, listen, I've done this, I've got these results, but now let's see what happens when it's put out in the field and actually put to work. That's the way you know when you're actually getting results in something or not. That's any science. It's repeated use and repeated methods and testing, and you get repeated results. Right.
It's the same. I like technology, the newest technology coming out. Like I beta test tech. Well, in order for me to beta test it, in order for me to test it for them, I have to take it in all different situations and test it. I can't just test it in one location and say it works or it doesn't work, because it might not work here, but it works great here, or it works great here and it doesn't work in this situation. Or in Arizona, it's easy for me to say, okay, indoors where I got the air conditioner on and it's, 75 degrees, it works great. But if I take it outdoors where it's 110 degrees, it doesn't work. So I might have to make some adjustments to it, or, something like that, because it doesn't work in the heat and it works great in this certain temperature. So there's always, and people go to one location, they get no results, and they're like, well, it must not be an active location. Well, you got to go there 2 or 3 times. You can't just go once. Go once in the daytime, once at night, once. You got to go in different situations, because you never know, what you're going to get. I mean, if you go 3 different times and get nothing all 3 times, then you're probably at the dead location. You're not going to get anything there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my thinking anyway. If I did these EVP sessions every night in my house and I got nothing every single night, I wouldn't keep doing it. I would do it for maybe 4 days, 5 days, maybe a week, and then say, look, I didn't get anything in a week, so I'm just I'll I'll keep doing EVP sessions, but I'm not going to do them here anymore.
Oh yeah, you have to adjust everything. You have to change everything up depending
Exactly.
on what results you're getting or what results you're not getting.
Right.
So I hate to do it, but we're gonna wrap it up here. Of course, before we do, if anyone wants to get in touch with you about any of the stuff they've been hearing about tonight, any of your equipment, where can they find you at?
They can go to my website. It's paranormalinvestigationsequipment.com, and you can email me from there. Email me at info@paranormalinvestigationsequipment.com. I'm on Twitter at paraequip. Just different places. A lot of people just contact me through. I have a Facebook page, and it's Paranormal Investigations Equipment. A lot of people contact me. Most people contact me through that. That's probably the easiest way.
Actually, it looks that way. It kind of seems like the website traffic is dying down, and definitely most of the stuff comes through Facebook. At least the redirect comes even through Facebook.
Yeah, the website isn't. It's just basically another avenue for someone to contact me, and it's an information thing. It's not really. I do have my diodes on there for sale, but that's not the only place. I would probably say 99% of my sales go through eBay.
So they can also look it up on eBay and find you on there.
Yeah, just search Rodaway Diode on eBay, and they can find them on there. I'm like the first ones to pop up. There's a couple different ones on there, but there's like one from UK and it's $50, and there's different types. But as far as like, I'm the only 3D printed one, and I'm like the first ones that pop up.
Yeah, and I will also include links to these things in the description for anyone who's just wanted the easier way of just clicking it and going.
Right. Yeah, and the eBay way, you can get different colors of the diodes if you're trying to match your group. If your colors in your group are red, you can get a red diode or whatever. Through my website, it's just one color right now. They don't allow me to put different colors.
Oh wow! All right. Well, Matt, I definitely want to invite you back anytime. You've been great, and I mean, I love actually talking to someone who knows this stuff and knows what they're doing and knows what it is, the results that they're trying to get, and they're not afraid to kind of just come right out and say, what is what and what they're trying to do. And I definitely want to invite you back anytime. Because like I said, we could talk about this all night, except I'm hungry and dinner's ready.
Okay.
So, again.
Yeah, I've got a hockey game to watch too, so.
Oh, really?
I'm recording it, but.
Oh.
So I can watch it anytime.
Well, that's one I'm surprised. I'm from Canada. Probably, they have signs up all over the place. It's like, please be quiet. We're watching hockey.
Yep.
And I'm like, before here, I'm from a place where the only ice we could find came in a glass. So I know next to nothing about hockey.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, I want to thank you for coming on. Like I said, it's been great talking to you. We're open anytime. If you get something new you want to come on and talk about, by all means, just message me. We'd love to have you on again. Or if you're interested in your own podcast, maybe we're going to talk about that. I do have a network.
All right. Okay. So, and I can always get a hold of you through Skype, right?
Oh yeah. Skype, okay. And we also we're on Facebook as well. Easier way of finding us is at NightStalker Pod or Twitter at NightStalker Pod. But yeah, you've got me on Skype, so the Skype's always there.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, again, thanks for coming on, and I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Now I'm stepping into